Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to embark on a journey like no other. Welcome to the Glum Lot Podcast,
your go-to destination for a unique blend of recovery and discovery.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Mark. And in this podcast, we will endeavor to create a safe and uplifting space for our guests and listeners to share their stories with sincerity and a touch of humor.
Remember, we are not a Glum Lot. The Glum Lot Podcast is more than just a source of entertainment. It's a beacon of hope, proving that even in the darkest moments, recovery is possible. Every story we share carries the power to inspire positive change.
So buckle up, get ready to listen, and join us in discovering the strength that lies within every individual's journey. This is the Glum Lot Podcast, where humor meets hope. All right, welcome to episode number 73 of the Glum Lot Podcast, Mr. Brett.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, so always want to remind the people to check us out on Facebook at the Facebook group, the Glum Lot Podcast Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on Instagram, and if they want to get a hold of us, it is the Glum Lot Podcast at gmail.com.
It is. And you know, when we also want you to know that if you know somebody that might be struggling, please share it with them too, right?
Right.
And maybe we can help them find where they need to go or whatever. But yeah, share it with them too, because that's what we're doing here.
And if you know somebody who's successful, why not get them on the show?
That's right.
Email us and let them know. Give us their contact information. We'll set them up.
We've got a couple coming up because of that. So
excellent.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
Today I was thinking to myself, we haven't really talked about the term dry drunk. Do you know what a dry drunk is?
Yeah, I had one.
Really?
Sure. Of course.
You want to expand?
I stopped going to meetings for a long while, and in that time my thinking reverted back, and I started believing my own bullshit, and I had nothing to check me or keep me on line. I had no guardrail. And my thinking and decision-making became very non-productive.
Okay.
And it took me a while to realize it, but when things started getting kind of weird in my life, I was like, oh, my God, I got to go back to AA.
So you could maybe say some of the same thinking that you had prior, but you just weren't using the medication.
Right. I didn't pick up alcohol, nor did I even think about it. But the fact that I was getting uncomfortable in my own skin again.
Yeah, you're becoming miserable again.
That was a good indication to me that I was thinking and acting alcoholically without the alcohol.
I see.
I
see. And that's just from a lack of staying on the bubble with the program.
It is.
And doing what we know.
And that's always the first thing you hear is, well, I got away from meetings.
Just heard it the other night.
Did you?
It strikes me every time somebody comes back. This guy had been out for 17 years. He had 17 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
And came back, and he was a mess, absolute mess. So ashamed, but man, the good old rooms welcomed with open arms.
Yep, we will be there.
Yep. So I just wanted to explore that. That's a term that gets tossed around once in a while.
And I've heard people.
If you're feeling that way, that might be what you're experiencing.
I've heard people speak about coming into AA and putting the drink down, but being miserable.
Right.
Because they don't take advantage of this Design for Life. They don't work the steps.
Yep.
They don't get a sponsor that's active with them.
Maintain that spiritual condition.
Right, or they never even get there to maintain
right.
it.
Yeah,
but they end up
over
being,
the drink.
I mean, an alcoholic without a drink and without recovery is more miserable than an alcoholic with a drink.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've heard.
Yeah, and we've seen that, and it's not good. So,
yeah. Well, thanks.
But anyway, we have a guest tonight who I've known for a long time. In fact, a little story about this guy.
Ooh.
I was at a restaurant with one of my daughters, and I happened to walk by this table, and I see two guys sitting at it, and they got the big book open.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I didn't know either of them.
No kidding.
But I thought, I'm going to go over and say hi. So I put my food down. I walk back over. I go,
that's cool.
And I go, oh, you guys are friends of Bill's? And one guy goes, yeah, this guy's brand new, and we just opened a big book. I'm like, oh, my God, my name is so-and-so, and, I go to these meetings. And I saw him at a meeting, and then I got to be friends with him.
No kidding.
And he's coming on the show.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And he's a really
good
dude. I don't know. It's an anonymous program.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just outbreak it. I think his name's Chuck.
Oh, it might be. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, we'll let you figure it out. We'll let him say
well,
it.
let's call him Chuck anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
He's gonna.
Let's welcome Chuck.
Chuck.
Welcome to the podcast, Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, my name's Chuck M.
Ah, Chuck M.
Okay, Chuck M. Hey, what is your sobriety date, Chuck M?
July 19th, 2015.
Okay.
All
and
right.
We like to rewind to your first experience with drugs and or alcohol when you were probably a young person.
What were all the details?
So I drink for the effect, and the first time I got the effect was at my family's table, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter.
Would they break out the wine?
My father used to make this concoction called goat's blood. And it was,
Wait a minute.
I love this podcast. I'm sorry, man,
Yeah.
but goat's blood, eh?
yeah, it was like 3 parts club soda to 1 part Manischewitz.
And a little bit of Billy.
And
Billy Goat.
Billy Goat.
Sorry.
Goat's blood.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
all right.
yeah.
well, it's
That's Brett.
it's a Judeo
okay.
reference,
Yeah.
goat's blood, right?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
the
okay.
Hebrews.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
How
and
old?
I wouldn't 10,
Okay.
right? I mean, I noticed that when I drank it, I get this warm feeling go down into the belly, and that my thinking changed a little bit, and I know I liked it a lot.
Right.
Now, I didn't start socially drinking. That was at the, 2 or 3 times a year, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't start socially drinking.
But you
with my-
remembered that warm, comfortable
feeling.
feeling.
That's what I remember about. I said,
What
I
did you
like
just love about it, though? Were you like a introverted person? Did you feel like you belonged? I mean, what was it that really caught you, you think?
Well, it was the physical sensation.
Oh, okay.
And the fact that I felt very relaxed.
Yeah,
It made me
okay.
very relaxed.
Yeah.
Very comfortable feeling.
Right.
So,
Part of that adult crowd?
I no.
Okay.
I just
So as you get older, though,
yeah. So started socially drinking maybe when I'm 11 or 12. The drinking age was 18 back then.
Jerks.
And,
so friends are stealing their parents' beer or whatever, right? Wine.
That, and every once in a while we'd go down to this spot, on the south side of Syracuse, but where we could rustle up a wino that for the change would go in and buy us 3 quarts of Ballantine ale or
whatever.
Man,
right?
Valentine again making an appearance.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Schlitz.
Valentine.
Schlitz
Schlitz is big. You and I are about the same age.
and Schaefer.
Schaefer.
This is my old man used to drink. He was not a highbrow drinker.
But
it was always that kind of stuff.
That was like once a month or
Right, so it was
every
very,
6 weeks.
you
or
felt it
something.
was very normal, right?
infrequent, and me and 2 or 3 of my running mates, we'd get a 6-pack or a quart each, and we'd drink it, and I would, we would get tipsy. I'd get that warm feeling, feel like on top of the world.
Right, but like you say, you drank for effect.
I drank for effect.
And you really didn't get in any trouble at this point?
No, as a matter of fact, the only time I really got in trouble was one time when one of my friends got really, really drunk. And for some reason, I went to a parochial school. Mm-hmm. For some reason, we took him to the convent. And one of the nuns gave him syrup of Ipiac. But
made him puke his guts out?
yeah, and then called all our parents.
Oh,
And,
what a buzzkill.
Why did you take him to the convent?
Probably poor judgment.
Probably poor judgment as a result of our alcohol consumption.
Yeah. So that was. But no, as far as I was a good. I came from there weren't any alcoholics in my family that I knew of.
Okay.
I grew up in an Irish-Italian neighborhood where everybody knew everybody, couldn't get away with anything.
Right.
And, I was,
Pretty normal stuff.
Boy Scout, very involved
Nice.
in the parish. As a matter of fact, when I graduated high school, they awarded me this plaque that they I wasn't I'm a solid 2.75 grade point student my entire life.
I'm very average.
My entire life, but I got this award for being the student who exemplified the Christian ideals and service to his community.
Wow.
And that sort of stuff. Kind of the runner-up to salutatorian
Salutatorian.
valedictorian.
Yeah, but your parents were proud, right?
But an honor just the same.
My parents were proud. Between eighth and ninth grade, I went away to a summer to a seminary to see if I wanted to be a priest.
Oh shit, you were deep into it.
Yeah,
At 8th and 9th grade?
Well, that's where they
start formulating if this is what your
kidding.
future might want to be.
Oh, I had no idea.
They
Well,
put you on
I
that
see.
track.
Right.
Okay.
Because you got to go to, you got to start the theologian track,
Yep.
but it's like where they start grooming you.
But you just
As he winks.
but you decided no.
I decided I loved Chuck M more than I loved Jesus. And it wasn't for,
Okay.
the cassock was kind of hard to sit on the can,
Yeah.
So
did weed come in during the high school years?
I didn't smoke weed until I was 18.
Okay.
One of my friends was he was into it. A couple of my friends, and they decided that it was time for me to
to join them.
to get
initiated.
high, and it took 2 or 3 times. And when I finally got off, I was listening to Pink Floyd, several creatures grooving to a pict in a cave or something like that. Whatever that cut is.
Nice.
But and then we did not much. But when I went away to college and I was off the leash.
So there was a leash.
Oh,
somewhat.
I lived at home, and
So you leave home and you go to college.
yeah,
Things open up. The guardrails are down.
Yeah.
It was time
And
to
does
be
your
Chuck.
drinking increase? Smoking increase?
It wasn't until my second semester when a guy introduced me to the world of bongs.
Okay.
Right, and then it's like, oh,
Like, this is scientific.
Oh,
yeah, and
clear it.
I did not. Yeah, I really got into it. It was more weed than drinking. Of course, they would drink on the weekend. I went away to school down along on the Guyland, and
The Guyland.
there was about there were about 8,000 dorm students, but only about 500 of us stayed on the weekend. Everybody else went home to their parents' house down.
Yeah, because they lived in the area, right?
And so there'd be dances, and the same group of people,
Yeah.
and drink. Didn't have to drive anywhere.
Did your alcohol consumption start increasing at this time?
Yeah, I was drinking on a regular basis.
Did it affect your grades at all or no?
Well, let me put it this way. When I came back for my third semester, they wanted me to be a resident assistant.
Wow.
You're a good boy.
I was a good boy the first couple of semesters. I was
Jeez.
I was a senator in the, on the student
Senate.
government. I was like on the yearbook staff.
So you're an ambitious student, right? And you know what to do to get ahead. You start drinking and
Must
smoking
have had some
dope.
personality too.
And obviously you're outgoing.
Yeah.
And so, what does something change during that college time?
Oh yeah, no, I got heavily addicted to pot.
So you're smoking every day.
I'm smoking
You're high all the time.
Not all the time.
Right. You took Tuesday afternoon.
He
off.
slept.
No, I smoked at night.
Yeah. Okay.
After classes and stuff. But by the end of my third semester, I was very close to being asked to leave.
No shit.
Yeah.
Because of grades or behavior or both.
Yes.
Yes and yes.
Wow, so that dropped pretty sharply.
So yeah. Holy shit.
I wasn't doing good. I was not doing the RA thing at all, and I was just.
Were you the cool RA though?
I was the RA that would get high with you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I had one of those. That's why I asked.
Well, I had a bit of a reputation on the campus because that third because this is my second semester there. There was almost this race riot on on my wing in my dorm.
Shit.
and it was between the Puerto Ricans and the white guys from Long Island, and they were going to throw down right in the lounge. I'd started studying martial arts, and because the Puerto Rican leader and I studied martial arts together, I had this relationship with him that I was able to go right into the middle of it and diffuse it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, this was Chuck N that we're talking to right now.
Right on.
But, yeah,
just kidding.
So you gained some respect from the college at that time.
Yeah, I was got kind of I got got some creds, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Got some street cred.
Street cred.
Got some juice.
Important stuff.
Got some fucking juice on the street.
Well, I was known to take my aggressions out on people every once in a while, like 1-on-3 situations, and
he could handle yourself, and people understood.
Be all done in under a minute.
Okay, wow, Chuck Norris here.
That's what I said, Chuck N.
Yeah.
All right, so
anyway,
so I pulled it together. Alcoholics are good in a sprint, right? And,
I
don't think I was
shit
quite
in the mile though.
I wasn't quite. I wasn't quite. I don't think I was an alcoholic at that point, but I was definitely a pot addict. And I was able to get it together and graduate. I have an associate's degree in photographic technology. Now, this is commercial photography, like using a view camera, developing, printing color pictures.
Right, back in the day when they had that.
Yeah.
When you would actually do printing.
Yeah.
So you get out, you have an associate's degree in that, right?
Yep.
Do you go on?
I went in the Navy.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I went in. Going to college was the same thing. When I graduated high school, come along like July, around my birthday, July 15th, my dad says, "So what are you going to do?" And I says, "I don't know, Dad." He says, "Well..." Was he in any of the armed forces? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's a World War II vet.
Oh, wow.
He was,
okay.
In the invasion and pacification of Italy, and, saw some bad stuff. He was definitely had the...
So naturally, he's asking
trauma.
you. So you get this degree, and it's kind of useful, actually, in the military, right?
Well, so at the time, if you wanted advanced electronics training, you had to sign up for 6 years. But because I had more than 42 credit hours, 44 is an associate's degree, that I was eligible for this advanced electronics training, and with only a 4-year enlistment. And so I got some good training. I went in the Navy, and never saw shipboard duty because the equipment they assigned to me was shore-based.
Oh, okay.
I was in training devices, it was anti-submarine warfare, and learned.
Where were you stationed?
Point Loma, California, San Diego. Yeah.
Was it awesome?
Oh, awesome.
Did they try to get you to re-up after 4 years?
Absolutely. I was highly recommended for advancement. I made E5 in 4 years. And no, I was like one of these guys that, the military is very much like a union that, seniority rules. And so, I may be better at my job, but because I only have like 3 years, the guy that's got 7 years and an extra stripe and doesn't know diddly about what's going on, gets to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm way too good for that. Yeah. So
you get out, you leave.
I get out and I spend the next 5 years working for General Electric. I have toolbox, will travel kind of job all over the United States.
Do you start drinking more as you're traveling? Well, let me stop you for a second there, though. What was your experience like in the military with drinking?
I started binge drinking in the military.
I was going to say, we had somebody on who was in the Navy that said the culture of the Navy is drinking, that's like a big thing socially.
Well, I think in general the armed forces. But sailors, because when they're confined to ship, there's no alcohol.
Right.
So they gotta tie it on when they can.
They blast it out when they get
We call it liberty when you're off the ship.
Yeah.
On the beach, which is running amok among the civilians.
But for you, this was a daily occurrence. So you're in the military and you start drinking more.
Yeah, and at the time they weren't pissing us either. So this is in the 70s. And I remember times standing a security watch with a sidearm and M16, and I knew this one spot where nobody could see me, and I'd like puff up.
So get out there and get high.
I get high,
Yeah,
but it was pretty boring. Fire and security watch. Not much chance of anything happening. Now, and I'm not saying it was right. Kids out there, don't do don't do what Uncle Chuck did.
Thank God there was no UFOs that came.
Right.
Am I really saying this?
But that was yeah.
So when you get out and you start this traveling job for GE, you're in hotels alone a lot, or?
Yep, absolutely.
And,
I travel with a crew.
Okay.
You go wherever the big gray boats are.
And you guys drink a lot at night?
Yep. We had what we called hydraulic suppers.
Hydraulic
uppers? What the hell's that?
Drink.
Oh,
instead of
suppers,
eat.
right?
Is
that what you said?
Well, it's a hydraulic supper.
Yeah, supper.
Oh, I thought you said hydraulic uppers.
No,
Supper.
Supper.
Okay, so do you, at the time, do you see this as an issue?
No.
Just fucking
what the
normal
guys are
behavior,
doing.
right?
No, well, I'll tell you one thing. It's down in South Carolina, and when the Navy base was still there, I remember sitting at a bench. I was part of my job. We did depot level overhaul on these shipboard-mounted sonar systems, and I had a bucket, which had like 30 cards in it, and I was wiring up the sockets. And then you install it in the cabinet. And I was sitting there. I was so hungover that I had a trash can next to me, and every once in a while I had to stop and puke in the trash can. And I remember thinking that my drinking doesn't affect my work at all.
Right.
I'm still doing it.
I can puke in a bucket. I'm fine.
Boot and rally.
On the job.
Yeah, boot and rally, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So that sort of stuff. I worked for General Electric for 5 years. I was married at the time, and I thought all the traveling was ruining my marriage. And I like to say that I began to like the wallpaper in the Holiday Inns. I thought it was quite artistic.
You started to appreciate it.
Yeah,
for what
appreciate
it was.
that. Yeah.
So does your marriage not last?
So I get a job with Grumman Aerospace, and. So 80 to 85 was General Electric. 85 through 90 was Grumman Aerospace. And in that time, my wife, I thought I was very happily married. She comes home like 8 years into the marriage, and she says, I think you should move out.
Damn.
BTW.
Yeah. By the way.
Yeah. So that I didn't take that well. It turns out there was a third party involved.
Okay.
I ended up what I now know is a geographic cure. There was a job opening in California.
Okay.
And so, the other thing that happened is right before I took that job offer, I knew where my soon-to-be ex and turned out to be the new husband were going to be, and I ran into one of my friends who noticed I was carrying a pistol. And I wasn't going to intend. I was going to go shoot him. I knew where they were coming out. And my friends rallied around me and took the gun away.
Said, "Don't fucking do this, dude."
At that point.
Sure.
At that point,
emotions were just off the charts. And
at that point, I realized I was going crazy, and so I had this offer to go to California, and that's what I did. And that was 1989 was the craziest year of my life by far. I was very angry. Took a lot of self-destructive risk-taking.
Drinking ramps up.
Absolutely.
Smoking dope.
Smoking dope, whoring around.
Any other drugs?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I was not.
But you're seeing your disease progress. Well, you're not seeing it, but looking back on it.
Oh,
you can
no,
say
absolutely.
Shit was progressing.
Absolutely. But then, in '89, I decided that I was tired of being a glorified. I was a site supervisor. I was at a helicopter flight simulator. I was a site supervisor and lead technician. When push comes to shove, I'd be in there with the test equipment fixing stuff. And I realized that I'd probably topped out on my career path, and so that I wanted to retrain or retread. And I decided to go to college. And I had this unrequited love back in New York that I wanted to chase.
Yeah.
And now that I was single,
Yeah.
but that didn't work out. She told me to fuck off. You know? So
Simple as that.
Apparently, the feeling was not mutual.
Clearly.
and I went back to college at 34, and
What did you go back to college for?
I was my major is physics.
Oh, interesting, man.
Physics. At the time, I wanted to get a double degree. They have a program where you could get a degree in one of the lower sciences, physics, and then you could for 3 years, you would go like I would either go to Clarkson or Binghamton or Buff, to get a double E because I wanted to do. I wanted to get into the renewable energy stuff.
Oh, that's
I thought
smart.
That was
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
What is a double E?
Electrical
I know
engineering.
what a double E is.
Oh, okay.
Electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering.
So
it's-
I've
so
learned something today.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking double E.
All I knew
bitch.
what it was like Dolly Parton. But anyway,
Those are double D's.
yeah, well,
But it
maybe
was,
he's-
hey,
So,
she had a reduction.
as you're going to college, you're an older dude going to college, right?
I was a non-traditional student.
Non-traditional student. Do you hook up with the young guys and start drinking with them?
No. Well, Woodsman was my neighborhood bar down in Cortland. It's on Main Street, and that's where I hung out. I quickly realized that people, as a man in his middle 30s who'd been around, by the way, that 20-somethings weren't interested in anything,
hanging out with you?
very so.
No, and anything that I had to say about my experiences, they'd start talking about whatever, and I'd say, "Oh yeah, I remember that," But so
Shut up, old man.
Yeah.
so I actually I listened more than I talked. Played a lot of pool, and that's how one of my stepdaughters. The reason why she thought she should introduce me to her mother, who is now my wife.
Huh.
Holy shit.
Who
You
I'm-
were introduced by your wife's daughter. Interesting.
To her because she thought I was a nice, quiet guy.
You're a nice, quiet alcoholic.
I
You're
didn't.
nice and everything, but I know somebody for you, right?
I didn't fight.
Yeah.
At least not at that bar, and that I was older, quiet, and she thought that I'd be a nice match for her. Now, I don't consider that I drank alcoholically, but I was a heavy.
Yeah.
I was that type 4, a heavy drinker.
heavy
that
drinker.
is described in a certain book, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And and then we got married, and I ended up getting my degree out of Cortland. I got a job in Auburn as in manufacturing.
Yeah.
And
It's not going to stop at a local references, is
No.
it? People in Sri Lanka are like, what the
Auburn.
fuck is Auburn?
okay, it's a manufacturing. We made automotive
I know.
products for cars, remote keyless
Okay.
entries.
So you get this, so you're settling in.
I'm settling in.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm settling
Right.
in. And for decades, I'm telling you, for decades, I would stop at the bar a couple of 3 times a week, and I was what I called a 2-and-gone drinker
Okay.
And you did that.
for decades.
Wow.
But every once in a while on the weekend, if somebody'd have a party or something,
Yeah.
I would drink to the point that I would have a hangover the next day.
No blackouts?
No, I never drank to blackout.
Okay. And driving drunk?
Oh, I was a serial drunk driver.
Yeah, most of us were.
Did you get caught?
Well, especially at the end.
Oh,
I got caught in 1977.
Jeez.
boy.
They were barely giving out DWIs in
Right.
77. You had to really do something.
Yeah, no, I was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I remember having them just go straight home.
Yeah.
They actually said that.
Oh yeah, when I was in my hometown, there was one time I was like 3 blocks from my home, and
Yeah.
a cop pulled me over, and I told him where he checked my ID, and he said, "Can you walk home?"
Yeah.
I locked the
and
car
you
up,
said
and he let
gladly.
me
Yeah.
walk home.
Yeah, that was
know,
before it got serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me walk home. But
So-
no, in San Diego, I got the DWI. Sailors got arrested for spitting on the sidewalk.
They're just looking for shit, right?
Yeah, they just lock you up if you look at them sideways.
So you're living this fairly normal life, and you're a guy that works, and then on the way home, you stop, have 2 drinks, and you go home, and everything's chill, and everything's working out, and so it's obviously something changes, right?
Well, so when, it's kind of started in '89 when my marriage busted up. I never, I kind of stuffed that down in the man cave, right?
Yeah.
And that I got to be honest, I carried guilt about that. About that failure for 20 years.
Wow.
Did you just never really realize it?
I thought about her all the time.
How about that?
My ex, and
Yeah.
what? Because she never gave me an explanation.
Right.
Right. And I only found out through default that there was a third party involved and all that. But
Yeah.
I
Never had any
there was
closure or anything like that.
well, there was she wanted-
almost, because you almost shot. Anyway.
She wanted to remarry the ex, and so the guy she wanted to marry was a son of a preacher, and they wanted to be married in the church, and they couldn't get married in the church because she was married to me in the church.
Right.
And you know how, I don't know if you know how Catholics
Yeah, so you had
are.
to get it annulled.
They had to get an annulment, and I was like, I'm finally going to find out. Was it the dirty socks I used to leave in the living room or not?
Right. All the millions of things that have gone through your head, right?
But for some reason, it became clear that it really didn't matter anymore, and I needed to let it go, and I was able to let it go. I think the God I didn't believe in, that's another story, had mercy on me, and it just.
Something happened where you were like, I got to let this go, and you did let it go.
I didn't realize I was letting it go. I just realized it was gone. So
Okay.
so that was a relief. That was around 2011 or 12 or no 8, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So anyways, you're living this life, and you're having a couple drinks, and you're going home, but at some point, something must change, right?
So even though I'd let the guilt go, the deal, the part of my past involving my feelings around getting divorced were still there, and then we're taking care. It's the late '90s, and I'm helping my mother take care of my father, who's had diabetes for a long time, and he's got the bad feet, and he's lost his vision, and his kidneys have failed. And I'm doing all this stuff with my mom. I'm to FMLA to drive them, drop them off for dialysis and stuff. And during all that's going on, my mother just suddenly gets sick, and 4 days later dies.
Damn.
She just dies, and we just got my father, and me and my sister who lives here regionally. We taking care of them, and and then my father has an accident at my sister's house that leads to his death 7 months later, and in between those two deaths, now you see before you a jocular, connival kind of guy, but I'm actually kind of a loner. Surprise!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't have that many close friends. My only true friend that I had from childhood. He had a coronary thrombosis in 1998 at the age of 44 and dead. So in that time, those 3 deaths, and the person who injured my father through a bit of negligence was close to me, and that all. By the time 2010 rolled around, I have crossed that line.
Yeah. Okay.
I am.
Your life
fucked up all the time.
Yeah. Okay. So you turn to alcohol
and pot,
and you're just fucked up, and you're
Escaping
good
it.
with it.
Yeah.
Do you see it as a problem at the time or no?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, not to the point you're going to do anything about it, right?
Nope. Not until. So I said my sobriety date is in July, but my alcohol date is May 1st. April 30th, I came. I'm gonna show half an inch with my fingers, a quarter an inch of my fingers of dying in my own backyard, a stupid, accidental, alcoholic death. I drank I think I drank 13 or 14 beers, had 6 or 7 shots, got in my car, which drove home, which was only like 3 miles away. I had a system. I had the back way.
Back roads.
The back road. Right. I get home. I break out the weed and roll up a nice big fatty joint, go in the backyard, the lakeside. I live on the lake. Smoke half a joint, and forget that I'm sitting underneath my dock, which is on the shore. I'm sitting underneath it, and when I stand up, kaboom!
Oh.
6 staples required in the back of the head.
Holy shit.
The next day, oh, by the way, they're not very cool with drunks who fall down and hurt themselves in the emergency room.
Right, they're not.
They're not.
This asshole.
They're not very gentle. But the next day when I looked, I realized that where I was laying unconscious was like over the edge, because there was blood on the seawall, over about 2 feet of water. I could have very easily
Fallen and
fallen in the
drowned.
lake, unconscious and drowned.
Yeah.
And that scared me. So you know, as I say, you can scare an alcoholic, but not for very long. I used that opportunity, and I was so sick for about a week. But I went to the only person I knew who was in Alcoholics Anonymous, and said, "Hey, I got a problem." And
wow.
And she says, "I was waiting for you."
Yeah.
And so went to my first meeting, and I felt that power. And I feel it at every meeting. And I told you, I before when we were talking, I said I was ushering. I ran into the woman who told me why I get that feeling. And I always hey, I'm an intellectual guy. When I first came in, that feeling, I could feel in my gut, oh, that's a synergy from a group of people with a common purpose, and, blah, 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 But in time, she explained to me, she says, it feels a lot like that buzz, that thrill you get when you take your first hit or your first drink, right? She says, but it's not. It's the grace of God. The God you don't believe in, Chuck M, because I know, I've heard your story.
Yeah, well, they talk about a God-sized hole, that we're trying to fill.
This is, you're feeling the grace of God. So, cool.
So that was 2015.
2015.
Right.
And the first 10 weeks, I was milling about smartly and in a military manner, as they say, going to a lot of meetings and, trying to decide which rules I was going to follow, which ones I wasn't.
Yeah.
And then I scared myself, by having a weed relapse, going someplace I shouldn't have been with people I shouldn't have been with.
People, places, and things.
People, places, and things. And then I got a sponsor, and I got a home group, and I started. And my sponsor immediately, well, he had to sit down with me because he's a mandatory reporter.
Oh.
He says, if you have any wants or warrants or anything that the statute of limitations hasn't run out on, I can't be your sponsor, or you can't tell me.
Right.
And I says, nope, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And so then I've had the same sponsor ever. Matter of fact, I called him on my way over here.
How about
because
that?
Just before I left, I was fine.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just before I get in the car, I realized, get the little butterflies.
Yeah, sure.
I don't call my sponsor too much anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a network of men.
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
and 3 or 4 other guys that when I have something on my mind, I call, because my sponsor encoured me to build the network.
Got to have the team.
Yep,
I agree.
Fellowship.
Anyway.
It was at the opening of the program, I was telling the story about how I first met you at a restaurant when I was there with my daughter, and I saw the big book and came over and said, hey, I'm a friend of Bill. Now, when you came in, I retold that story, and you said, that's not exactly the way it went. And so what was your recollection of that? Because I thought it was pretty funny.
So I'm sitting there, and you walk over. And
now, were you the sponsor or the sponsee at that point?
Sponsee. I had 10 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
And Mark walks over, and unbeknownst to me, you knew Dave. All these guys are all interconnected.
Yeah.
But anyway.
They all know each other. It's a cult. It's a cult.
He goes, are you guys friends of Bill? And, of course, Dave, my sponsor, looks at me. And I look at Mark, and I look at Dave, and then I start naming off all the Bills
that you knew,
that I knew, right? And finally, and like the 2 of them are just looking at me like I'm a dweeb, you know. And finally, my sponsor says to me, "Bill Wilson, Chuck." I go, "I don't know any Bill Wilson."
It's so good.
And then it clicked. Oh, because that was the first time I'd heard.
Right, that was
Friends
the
of
day.
Bill.
That was the day the secret code was revealed to you.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
You know,
right.
we need a gang sign or something.
Yeah,
don't we?
handshake, one of those things.
Yeah. That was great. And then, the funny thing is, I was like, there's a lot of meetings out here. I go to this meeting. Blah, blah, blah. Well, the next meeting I went to, I saw Chuck.
How about
I'm
that?
like, he was probably there before. I just didn't know who he was,
Right. No, I thought
He was
Mark,
trying to find Bill.
I thought Mark was so cool. He drives up in his,
He's cool.
His Audi with his
Yeah.
sunroof with the top down.
Oh, I'm cool.
And he was
cool.
bringing- he's bringing obviously newbies along, for.
Yeah.
Look, it must be.
I'm a cool guy.
Smells like a sponsee.
Yeah. What's your story, buddy?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I mean, that happens all the time to me. And, you'll catch a conversation or, I had a really interesting experience. I owned a business. It was a video production company. I got this great job. There was an insurance company I used to do work for, and they called me up one day and they said, "Hey, we're having a international conference in Cancun, and we need somebody to go down there for the week and just shoot video of it." And I'm like,
"Oh, God.
Fuck yeah." So they said, "We fly you down. We'll put you up at the Ritz-Carlton.
Check.
And you'll be responsible to shoot all the video of all the, awards and all the goings on." And I'm like, great. And I'm sober a long time at this point. But I go down there, and so I fly in, and the next morning I got to meet with the production team, who was like their marketing person, their PR person, whatever. And I go down to, and this is Ritz-Carlton. It's nice. And I go down to the main, restaurant area, and I find the people, and it's this guy and a woman. And the woman is the head of the marketing thing, and I've never met her before. And so I introduced myself and blah, blah, blah. And the guy sitting with her, I said, "Okay, so then, what department are you with?" He goes, I'm actually, this is my wife. She had a +1, and she brought me because it's such a great place. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." And he goes, "Okay, so the buffet's over there. They have mimosas and Bloody Marys." And I go, "Well, I don't drink." And he goes, I don't drink either." I go, "Are you a friend of Bill's?" He goes, I am a friend of Bill's. And my wife is an Al-Anon. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was the start of my trip. And I ended up hanging out with these two, of course, the whole time.
Yeah.
It was fucking great, you know. I had people to hang out with.
Yeah, I had the
lovely.
same thing. I went to work one day, and I was in a new location. I met this lady, and we just got talking after a week or two, and all of a sudden I hear these things like, "I just do it one day at a time," and "I just have to surrender," I'm just like, oh my God, I know what you're talking about, right? Yeah, it's cool.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Before I forget?
Yeah.
First, I want to thank you guys for doing these podcasts. It's a great, I listen to it. I get a lot of experience, strength, and hope from it.
Awesome.
And,
that's what we're going for, yeah.
I'm really glad that you're doing it. And I don't know. Can I talk about my spiritual awakening, or you want to?
Hell yes.
How much?
Please.
How much? We got time.
You got plenty of time.
All right. So I told you I came in. I was not a God guy. Right.
You were raised Catholic.
I was raised.
You were
Catholic.
lapsed, right?
I'm a lapsed Catholic. That's the phrase.
Yes.
That's the phrase. As soon as I moved out of my parents' house, I moved as far away from Catholicism and organized religion as possible. Although I was married in the church to my ex. But, I never felt that conscious contact with God, right? And, of course, I'm one of these guys that my brother, who went to the same school, heard a message of love and hope, and I heard a message of, I'm watching every move you make, and I'm going to fry your ass for it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was my concept.
Yeah.
That was my concept of God. And my entire adult life, from like 20 until 60, I came into AA at 60, I lived what I call a faithless life.
Yeah.
I couldn't touch it, taste it, wrap my head around it. It just didn't exist for me. I mean, I believed in the Great Spirit right, that created the universe. Because of my science background,
Sure.
the rules that govern our universe are so simple and symmetric that they couldn't have happened by accident, right? So I believe in a God with the lowercase g. I'll just leave it
Sure.
at that. And if you wanted to get punched out by me, you kept asking me about God. Right? So nothing about, talk about God, you piss me off, and if prayers for suckers, right? So I come into AA, I have a resentment, and my sponsor says, you got to pray for this guy and not pray that he gets run over by a truck. Why don't you pray for him every night? I said, well, what would I pray for him for? He says, well, pray that he becomes a better businessman, because it was a business dispute. And, okay, every night for 2 weeks. Well, by the 10th day, the resentment was gone. I was like, whoa, there's something to this prayer thing.
Huh.
So I go for 4.5 years in AA, and my higher power was the fellowship.
Yeah.
Right. I had
Sure.
a problem.
Not
I had an
uncommon.
emotion I couldn't handle. I had a resentment that I couldn't, work through.
You bring it up.
Yeah. Call somebody, bring it up in a meeting, go through the process. Do the fourth step, just like it's laid out in the book. I had a worksheet that I got off the internet that I used for my first time, and it always worked. But when I got let go from the job before I have now, it was for performance issues.
Okay.
Right. I was put on one of those infamous performance improvement programs.
Yes.
And that thing set off a round of anxiety and fear that I
can see that.
all-consuming, mind-numbing,
Wondering what they're thinking.
soul-sucking. I couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. And, when they finally separated me, it kind of faded away, right? But when I came to my job I have now in 2013. So I had 2 solid years of being a raging alcoholic there. And my manager said to me, Chuck, I like you. I says, but I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm gonna give you 6 months to find another job. If you don't find another job by June,
separate.
that's just too bad for you. That fear
Yeah.
came back. Fear of financial insecurity. Same thing again. And I got to tell you, I did all the stuff, right? Search the literature, reach out to my network, pray. And, the thing is, I was praying, I was saying, God, take the fear away.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working. It was getting worse. And in my moment of desperation, I'm at my wit's end. I really don't know what to do. And instead of asking God to take the fear away, I cried out, God, I don't know what to do. Please help me. And in that instant, the fear was gone.
Yeah.
It was lifted out of me. I slept good that night. I woke up with a clear mind the next day. I put my mind to righting my ship at work. And here I am 12 years later. I still have the same job, and I'm highly respected there.
Yeah.
The experience you just described is the experience I had the night before my first AA meeting, where I looked up to the ceiling at what I don't know and said, I don't know what to do, just like you just did with your hands. And immediately something clicked in me that said, go to bed right now, get up in the morning, call AA in the white pages back then on your rotary telephone, and find a meeting and go to an AA meeting. And I did that, and that's how it happened for me. And it was like, I don't even know what I was asking. I don't know who I was asking it to. It was just there, but it worked, just like yours worked.
Yep.
And
that was my spiritual awakening, my spiritual experience.
There's psychic
And
change, clearly.
I had faith. Life is just so much sweeter now that no matter as long as I put one foot in front of the other,
That's right.
do the next right thing, remain accountable for my actions. That no matter what's going on, I'm gonna be okay.
Go through
and
it.
I have that. Yep, pass through it. I have that. I have that. Now I'm here to tell you, you don't need to believe in God to work a 12-step program. My sponsor, of course, following Bill Wilson's lead, said that all I had to do was admit that there was a possibility that there just might be a God. That's all I needed to do. And that's, right, until God worked that
what you got through.
fourth miracle in my life.
Yeah, you got to work the second step before the third step. So, and then you came to believe, right? I came to believe.
That's right.
Eyes were opened.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
nice. Well, thank you, Chuck.
Man.
We're at the end of our time here, but great share. And,
Yeah, heck yeah.
Please spread the word. I'm sure you will. We'd loved having you here.
Yeah.
And until next time on the Glum Lot Podcast, I'm Mark.
I'm Brett.
And I'm Chuck.
As we wrap up another episode of the Glum Lot Podcast, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you who tuned in today. Navigating the path to recovery from alcohol and other substances is a journey filled with challenges, triumphs, and self-discovery. Remember, we're not affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous, but we're here to provide a safe space for open conversations about the complexities of recovery. Your stories, courage, and resilience inspire us and our listeners alike. If you or someone you know is on the transformative journey, know that you're not alone. Join us next time as we continue to explore the diverse facets of recovery. Until then, stay strong, stay connected, and remember that each day is a step towards a brighter, sober tomorrow. Thank you for being part of the Glum Lot community.